Ahoy there, and welcome to our second movie special of DohMance Dawn. I'm Luke, he, him, sometimes they, them, and I'm joined by my erstwhile film-going companion, Janine.
Hello, my name is Janine Juliet. My pronouns are she, they, and I don't have a third thing to say because, Luke, we do have a guest with us today.
Well, you generally don't have a third thing to say, so I feel like you can't blame that on us having a guest.
I'm going to anyway.
Tommy, whose fault it is that Janine does not have a third thing to say, and this is now canonically part of the podcast, would you like to introduce yourself beyond being the host of Distant Echoes and the co-host on Lee Carvalho's Potting Challenge as part of the Glitterjaw Collective?
Absolutely. I'm Tommy Proffitt. My pronouns are he, him, and they's okay too. And I promise I won't be negatively impacted by this cursed holy sword I'm currently holding.
Where did you get that sword? Because I've been looking for a sword, and I see a lot of them that are holy, but you kind of want the holy and the cursed.
Yeah, it's you don't usually want both kind of intermingled, I guess, because that seems to cause some bad things to happen. But I just found it lying around the house, you know?
It's good because you get the bonus to holy damage and the bonus to curse damage, and chances are, up until you're at like the end of the RPG, you're going to be like getting that bonus that most of your enemies are weak to, and it's really beneficial. I think it adds a really nice mix. But yeah, this week we are covering One Piece, the Cursed Holy Sword, or the Cursed Sacred Sword, which I feel has a very different context to it, and Going Baseball, along with 3 classic Simpsons episodes. So contextually, this movie came out on May 6th of the year 2004, and the short that came with this came with a password for a One Piece baseball game that had also come out, and that's why in the short there's just a long shot of a password that unlocked the costumes the characters wore in this. Contextually, this was also between the episodes of The Simpsons Smart and Smarter and The Zip Who Came to Dinner during the Skypiea arc of One Piece. But Tommy, I forgot to ask you, what is your background with The Simpsons?
Well, my background with The Simpsons is a lot denser than my background with One Piece. I'll just give that little spoiler up front. I have been watching The Simpsons for most of my life, if not, I mean, as pretty much as long as I can remember. The series, officially premiered outside of the shorts, the year I was born. So there hasn't been a time that I've been alive that there hasn't been The Simpsons airing, which is such a weird thing to think about sometimes.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I really watched it a lot when I was younger. It was something that, my friends and I bonded over, and it really became this kind of language, right, of being able to kind of reference the jokes. I mean, there's so often in my life where I'm just saying a Simpsons quote, although don't test me on that, because I have found that whenever I'm recording a podcast, I can't actually think of any Simpsons quotes. It's just some kind of curse that happens. But that's kind of like my history with it is it was really something, this like bonding thing for friends. My co-host on Lee Carvalho's Potting Challenge, my pal Derek, he and I were both, big fans of The Simpsons. We bonded over that at different points throughout our lives. And it, led to us, creating that podcast. But it's just always kind of been there. It's always just kind of been part of my life, and something that no matter what, I can just kind of turn on an episode and just kind of feel okay about things.
How far does the being able to turn on an episode and be okay about things extend for you? Like, what is your end of good Simpsons or reliable Simpsons?
Yeah, I mean, that's such a tough question, because especially now that I'm getting further into, I mean, I'll be quite honest. I think my kind of initial answer to that prior to, my returning to the show later in life would have been like season 12 or 13, right? Like those were ones, or maybe even like 14, honestly, because I think I remember watching some of those live when they were airing. But I think now I'm really starting to appreciate more later Simpsons, and even episodes that are airing now. There was a there was a recent episode, oh gosh, and I'm blanking on what episode it was that aired, and it was a really, really, you know what it was? It was one of the, it wasn't a Treehouse of Horror episode, but it was a Halloween episode, and it was a recent one at that. And that honestly, it might have been like 2020 or something like that. But
the one where the seasonal workers try and break into the Simpsons house. Yeah. Halloween of Horror.
Halloween of Horror. Yes, that's the one. I watched that recently, and I was enamored with it. I thought it was a really, really good episode that like harkened back to classic Simpsons. So I mean, I don't know. I haven't kept up and watched as many of the newer episodes. I don't necessarily watch every single episode that comes out, although I do watch more now than I did, a couple years ago. But I still think like there's something fun and valuable that you can get in any era of The Simpsons, even if it is just kind of seeing how things change. I do appreciate kind of watching the trajectory of the show in that regard too.
We are kind of seeing a new era of The Simpsons that's kicking in now where, for better and for worse, they are experimenting a lot more. And I'm going to be interested to see how long the center can hold. Like the last episode had Patty and Selma moving into separate apartments at the end of the episode, and Patty like going for a new haircut, and it's kind of like, well, how long is this going to last? But then they've also brought up other continuity, like groundskeeper Willie got married, and they specifically like harken back to that, or Mo and Maya still being a thing, and they're engaged even though Maya isn't showing up on the show. And just kind of, I'm interested between that and some of the storytelling takes, where a modern Simpsons episode I feel like is going to feel like a normal episode, or it is going to feel alien and incomplete in ways that baffle me on how it made it to screen, which is, I think, different than the jerk-ass era of Homer.
Yeah.
Where everything felt the same, and it was always just Homer is such an asshole here, and every plot was, oh, Marge and Homer are going to get divorced, or they really should, because Homer is actively like being bad. And I think we're out of that era, but what exactly The Simpsons is much more fluid now.
Yeah, it's funny, the plot point you mentioned of Patty and Selma moving out is something that feels like something they would have experimented with in like season 9, season 10 almost. So even though that is sort of like a new continuity shift, it also feels almost familiar in that regard, because it's like it does feel like something they could have toyed with earlier, like when they were just kind of really starting to kind of tinker with continuity a little bit more.
I mean, they did that with Ling, but Ling is no longer canonical.
Listen, I can't, I don't know. I don't even know how you decipher what's canon and what's not in The Simpsons. I have no idea. There's no world in which I like, if it's on the screen in front of me, I'm like, yep, that's happening. Like, and then if something, changes that canon in another episode, I'm just like, that's what it is. I don't know.
Yeah. Ling, I think they just ran out of ideas, and it's like, okay, it's funnier if Patty and Selma are just still single and together and smoking, and you can't really do all those jokes if they've got a baby there.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think that makes total sense.
And then what did you know about One Piece going in through cultural osmosis, or did you catch things? Because we're about the same age.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I remember when it was first airing on, was it Fox? Right? It was Fox where it first started airing in the US, and I was like getting into sort of a little bit of anime like at the time, and there was just, I don't know what it was about One Piece, but it felt like it was aimed at a younger audience than I was at the time, which I don't think is true. I just, there's something about it that felt like that, and so I never really got around to actually checking it out. But I know that I have been really interested in watching the show, because one of my nephews recently told me that he had watched like some absurd amount of episodes over summer break one time, and anime and video games is something that we've bonded over. So I was like, maybe I got to start dipping my toe into One Piece so that I can still kind of keep up with him.
Well, this is probably not the best introduction, but we'll get into Simpsons talk first, and then get into what we watched. So, as we do on our movie specials, each one of us takes a Simpsons episode that hadn't been covered on the show and kind of brings it forth to talk about. This episode, we had the Cartridge Family, which was my pick, Homer's Phobia, which was Janine's pick, and Homer at Bat, which was Tommy's pick. I picked the Cartridge Family partially because it is an episode about a cursed holy gun. And it's also an episode that I don't normally watch with my wife, because it's an episode that kind of rubs her the wrong way, because it is an episode where I kind of say effectively plays both sides and doesn't really have a correct side when it comes to gun control. Because it's like Homer Simpson is the absolute last person you want to have holding a gun, but also here are some specific scenarios where having a gun could be helpful, like when a bunch of rabbits are running in a line across while you're waiting to get your gun background check. But also like, hey, here's all of these gun control rules that there are that people can agree are good, but also here's exactly how they fail, and here's some facts about how dangerous guns are to have. It kind of refuses to take a side, which I believe was John Swartzwelder's like goal with this.
Oh, sure. Yeah, that sounds right.
And then also let's have some opening scenes with soccer jokes and, fast kicking, low scoring, and ties. You bet.
So this is a really interesting one, because I totally see kind of why this could be an off-putting episode. What's really funny is apparently the NRA complained about this episode, which I'm like, I feel like y'all came off a little bit better than maybe you should have in this episode. So what do you have to complain about? But no, you're right. I mean, it does kind of play both sides. I do still think there's a weird kind of shift. I don't know if you feel this way or if y'all feel this way about it, but like there's a weird shift where it does feel like the NRA is kind of being set up as, this weird organization, and like, especially when Homer first goes to the NRA meeting, but then when they kind of all come in at the end and they kind of get on Homer for not following gun control or gun safety measures properly, it feels more like they're the good guys. And so, but it feels like that shift is a little like it doesn't really fit together in the episode for me.
Yeah. Well, it also kind of ignores the fact that, wait, so these people are hanging out with their guns, listening to police scanners, waiting to go and break into crimes, and not even specific crime reports, but just, hey, we heard someone turn on a security alarm here. We decided to show up with our guns. And also, they don't actually stop Snake. Like,
right.
It's no moral, no ending, and then Marge keeps the gun.
Yeah, it's a weird one. I 100% get that. I will say this is one I don't think I had rewatched in a while. I think we recently talked about season 9. And I think the episode overall is fine with you when you kind of put kind of the weirdness aside. It does have a lot of great jokes in it. I think the what is it, the 5 guns, how to turn 1 gun into 5 guns.
Yeah.
Joke is very funny, and that also I think ended up in Fortnite recently, which is weird.
Yeah, I was going to point that out.
so like this episode does have a lot of kind of staying power and relevance. I think Homer is like, there's like, obviously this isn't the Homer is a jerk period, but you do kind of have like a little bit of like jerky Homer in this, and like him keeping the gun after telling Marge he's going to get rid of it, and then doing it basically twice. Like, I feel like there is a little bit of Homer is a jerk in this episode as well. But yeah, I mean, it is such a interesting one because it is so like overt of like including the NRA. I think I would have felt a little bit better about it if it was like a fake group that they talked about. Like if it wasn't like the NRA, it was like the Springfield Rifle Association or something like that.
Or like in King of the Hill, they do the gun club that Dale is a part of.
Yes. Which, yeah, in that episode, I think I actually like that episode a lot in the King of the Hill episode. I think that one's is really fun, and it kind of strikes the balance, I think, a little bit better than this episode does. But yeah, if they had changed the name of it, I think I would have felt a little bit better about it.
Janine, do you have anything to add?
Not really. When I was watching these episodes, I was watching it with my boyfriend. He was seeing some of these episodes for the first time, so his comments on it were just kind of like what y'all had been saying before. Like, it kind of really doesn't go anywhere, but it does have hilarious moments, and I think that's probably why I personally like getting back to it. It's just I can't think of any like memes of this one, but I do remember liking this episode a lot when because I did see it like when it did come out live.
I feel like a big bag of irregular Oreos should become a meme.
Yeah, that's a good one. I think that would be a great meme. I also think Marge looking at herself in the mirror, or the trash can lid, holding the gun, like, I don't know, I feel like there's something to that. Like, that could have legs too.
And burglar alarm fish. Who could forget sweet burglar alarm fish? I can't wait to get back to Fishman Island and find a place for burglar alarm fish. Janine, you picked Homer's Phobia, another one that Abby is not necessarily a fan of because it is kind of a dated episode, but I feel like it still is strong. So what made you pick Homer's Phobia?
It was just kind of another one that I did see live that kind of like really stuck to me, because it was actually the first time I realized that my views on things were going to be different than what my stepfather said. Because, after getting the nice message that gay people are okay, he just went ahead and said, "Hey, don't none of y'all be gay now." And I feel like I failed that one really hard. Oops. But watching this one with my partner was very fun, because just exactly how much he fits inside of the stereotypes that John was in.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he wears Hawaiian shirts. He likes cactus candy.
I mean,
who doesn't?
I probably do too. Yeah. Is it okay to come out now, Mr. Gay Man? To quote the episode.
I'm so glad you picked this episode, Janine, because this is honestly like I for a long time like wasn't sure if this episode was like there's elements to this episode that, like, yes, it is dated, but I don't think that the episode like comes off mean-spirited as much as it like comes off as mean-spirited towards people who are homophobic, right?
Yeah.
Like, it feels like that's more the butt of the joke are the characters who are kind of clinging to hypermasculinity, which, like, sorry, I don't know if I can cuss. I love that. I should have asked that. So I really like that, and I also just like the fraught idea of like trying to like I don't know, take Bart hunting as a way to try and make him not gay, which is like, that's not how it works. And I really appreciate, especially at the time, I mean, this is, a very impactful episode for the time. It wins a GLAAD award. For Outstanding Animated Program. And like, I think that that's something that is very special about this episode and very special for the time. There's a lot of episodes that The Simpsons do later on that do not have the best portrayals of, the queer community. And I think having this episode as like a starting point, not really a starting point for that, because there's other gay characters before that, but this episode I think does start off on the right foot, we'll say.
Yeah. Like, I was thinking about this compared to Three Gays at the Condo.
Which season is that?
It's like maybe 5. That is season 14.
Yes.
Yeah. And that's the one that like ends with the Weird Al parody at the end. And it's like, that one felt like it was working with sort of the trendifying of male homosexuality that you were getting at the time in a way that feels less sincere than this one does. And I think like John Waters would have not done this episode if he did not like sign off on it. But
Yeah.
like even before, you had like Simpson and Delilah, the one with Carl, voiced by Harvey Fierstein, who plays Homer's assistant. I think like that one also had a lot going for it and had like the first male on male animated kiss.
Yeah.
And like it is interesting, this history of Simpsons and like queerness, but I think that Homer's phobia still holds up. It has a lot of good bits, and yeah, who doesn't love wearing Hawaiian shirts? And I'd probably enjoy cactus candy. So.
I was gonna say, I don't think I've ever had cactus candy, and I think this is the only time I've seen cactus candy referenced. Like, I don't know what cactus candy is. Is it made of cactus?
I don't know exactly, because my partner and I went to a candy shop that's nearby, and they just have like a bunch of different ones, and there was cactus candy, and we tried it, and the fact that it came up was so hilarious. But it's I mean, I guess it kind of like tastes like prickly pear.
Mm-hmm. It's like a jellied candy.
I mean, honestly, I'm looking at it now. It looks pretty good. It also, the one I'm looking at is red, not green like they have in the episode. But I guess it makes more sense if you're going to show cactus candy to make it green, especially for, folks who may not know what cactus candy is, like me.
Yeah. There is also apparently like cactus taffy, which is also green, but we can't get caught up on cactus candy chat. You got to join the Discord for that. Opening up Cactus Candy Chat channel. Yeah, I think that it is an episode that really holds up. It also has a lot of nice small bits in it, and I'm glad that the United Steelworkers did keep reaching for that rainbow.
Every time I see that closing, it makes me smile. Like the dedicating the episode to the United Steelworkers Association. Oh, it's just so good.
And then last we have Homer at Bad, which is an all-time classic from season 3. I have shown that I know the ending theme song because I have sung it all. I don't think that was on air when I did that. Was it, Janine?
I don't know, but I bet you can't do it again.
Well, Mr. Burns had done it. The power plant had won it. With Roger Clemens clucking all the while, Mike Scioscia's tragic illness made a smile. While Wade Bug laid unconscious on the ballroom tile, talking softball. From Maine to San Diego, talking softball. Madigan Canseco and Griffey's grotesquely swollen jaw. Steve Saxon is running with the law. Talking Homer, Ozzy and the straw.
That was brilliant and gorgeous.
I listened to that song more than I've seen the episode. I specifically remember the first time I saw the episode because it was my brother and I were staying at my aunt's house, and it was just randomly on. And it was just like, oh, I've read about this episode so many times, because that's the kind of Simpsons nerd I was.
Yeah. I think I saw this episode later than a lot of other episodes, which is funny because it's, a season 3 episode, but it just, for whatever reason, like wasn't hitting, the 6 o'clock syndication slot that I was mostly watching The Simpsons on. But yeah, saying that Homer at Bat is a good episode is, an understatement.
Yeah. Why did you pick Homer at Bat?
So it's funny because at first, my first thought was, I was like, I got to figure out something to connect to a cursed sword. And so I was like, Homer has his magic bat. That's going to be the connection. And I completely forgot that we also had a baseball short to talk about. So I picked it because of the cursed sword element and not the baseball short. But, I think it fits because of the baseball short as well.
I mean, yeah, my brain just keeps forgetting about the baseball short. Yeah, there's so many good bits in this episode. Like, I heard some guy got killed in New York City, which never got solved. Just pitting all of the crimes.
And then Steve Sachs, I forget the name of his band, but him,
the Steve Sachs Trio.
The Steve Sachs Trio, where it's like that he's found playing jazz in like a jazz bar. It's so silly and so goofy, especially like I love the through lines too for all of the guest stars. Is it oh gosh, who is it? One of them is like into tourist traps. One of the baseball players is into going to tourist traps, and that like is his downfall at the end of the episode too. Like it's so classic and so well written. It's also remarkable, like this early in the show's run, to have an episode that has 10 big name guest stars in it. Like that is wild to me.
Well, and all of them get good bits. Even Ozzie Smith, who does get lost in the Springfield mystery spot.
Yes, that's who I was thinking of, as Ozzie Smith. Because Ozzie Smith, I believe, is at the beginning is at some other, like taking pictures at some other tourist.
He is at Graceland.
Graceland, that's it. Yeah. So it's like, it's that kind of stuff where it's like, I don't even think I realized that until rewatching it, of like, oh, that's kind of the trap that was kind of laid a little bit for him, like in this episode. So very smart writing.
It is such a tight script. And the fact that the song at the end was done by the guy who had written the baseball song, and then this helped him to continue to just make that his entire career, is beautiful.
Terry Cashman, I believe.
Yeah, because he did songs that were also specific versions for different teams.
Yep. Yeah. This episode, I think it also has that like classic Simpsons heart as well, where it's like you start, rooting for Homer, and then there's this like, downward kind of little, I don't know, there's this valley that he goes through with, when the professionals are there and they take all the spots. And then to have the button at the end being that he gets the last hit, but it's because he's hit by the pitch, is like so beautiful. It's so beautifully done. This is like, I mean, it's at the list of many people's top Simpsons episodes for a good reason. Like it is just a amazing episode.
Yeah, it is hard to get better. Yeah, I'm mentally trying to be like, well, what is a better episode? It's like, no, I'm perfectly fine. Just saying, yeah, Homer Pat, one of the all-time greats.
It is.
Janine, any other comments on this one?
I'm this is kind of a hot take, but I'm kind of a Pitt the Elder girly.
Ooh, that is a hot take.
I mean, is that because you're with Lord Palmerston, Tommy?
Yeah, of course. Who wouldn't be with Lord Palmerston?
I don't like to pick sides. I'll be the Mo in this situation.
Are either of you baseball fans?
I enjoy the experience of going to see live baseball. Like Abby and I are planning on doing a trip out to Santa Fe, and part of the reason why we picked the time that we did was so I could go and see the Isotopes play in Albuquerque at a home game. I mean, you know what that means, right?
Of course, that definitely means indulging in the Albuquerque Isotopes signature stadium food.
For anyone listening to this for the first time, every time that I remember to go and check out the announcement for the Isotopes menu, I make sure to make it a segment on the podcast.
Yes, I love it.
The first year was the Dentist's Delight, and they haven't necessarily gotten anything as wild as that, but I am very excited to go and see some baseball and to pick up an Isotopes jersey, because it is the Simpsons joke that the people of Albuquerque decided to say, yeah, we want to make this canon to our lives.
I love that so much. And I honestly, like, I've been thinking about, my partner and I have been traveling a lot more. And one of the things I've been thinking about in the back of my head is I kind of want to go travel to, the Southwest, because we've never been there. And I don't know, maybe we can make our way out to see the Albuquerque Isotopes as well, and I can buy a jersey.
Hell yeah. If you're going to the Southwest, I highly recommend New Mexico, not just because it's like the video game New Vegas, but also because it's less hot than Arizona and it's less racist than a lot of Texas.
Hey, I love both of those things, so I will take your advice and can try to go there.
Just know that you are not allowed to toss a pizza on the Breaking Bad house.
Yeah. Also, just to clarify, the thing that I love is that it's not as racist, which is a good thing, and also that it's not as hot because I don't like the heat. So just making that clear,
yes.
In case anybody was not sure. I realize I said I love both those things. Yes, I will go to New Mexico at your discretion. Anyway, I just feel like I just dug myself into a hole. Anyway.
All right. Great episodes. So many great lines. But we got two things to talk about now before we get into matching characters. The first is Take Aim, the Pirate Baseball King, which is wild because it is a video game tie-in special where it's the Straw Hats playing baseball. It's all announced by Buggy and Bon Clay, and it's also wild because they only have two voice actors doing the entire cast and crew, which becomes more and more obvious as it goes on.
I don't think I realized that as I was watching it.
I gotta say, I was pretty high, and for a second just thought that it was Bon Clay moving really fast and just being everybody. Like a solid 2 minutes, I was like, wow, this is so avant-garde. What an animated, just move in a direction like this.
Very people's Joker.
I love that. Yeah, that's great. Mm-hmm. Can I just say, so I watched Take Aim, the Baseball King first, mm-hmm. and that was probably, outside of like clips here and there, that was probably my first full, I mean, even though it's a short, full thing of One Piece that I had watched. Mm-hmm. And then when I watched The Cursed Holy Sword and how that episode opens, I was like, wow, this feels very different.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's definitely there's like three main sides of One Piece, and one of them is just like cartoony gags, which was always like part of the goal, because that's why Luffy is made of rubber, because it's better to have like weird, funny, silly powers instead of just having people continuing to scream and get buffer and buffer.
Yeah.
And that has continued on for over 1,000 episodes.
Yeah, the Pirate Baseball King short was fun. What is the so the game that it's tied to was it like it was an actual like console like baseball One Piece game?
It was called One Piece Going Baseball, and it was released for the Game Boy Advance. And so there was different teams. There was the Straw Hats. There was the East Blue team, which was made of a bunch of the early villains. The Grand Line team, which was weirdly headed by Buggy. A Marine team, and an Alabasta team. A Baroque Works team. The Skypia team, and then the kind of secret red-haired team. And it was just like a baseball game. I have not actually played it.
I'm immediately drawn in to tie-in games, and immediately I'm like, I need to find this game and play it, just because.
I want to say that Mike Padden, our artist, was commenting that he had found the ROM for it and was playing it or replaying it.
Ooh, okay. Well, I might have to try and find it myself too, because I love a tie-in game. I also love that they give you a code on this short for the game to get different costumes and stuff. And knowing that it's a Game Boy Advance game, the costumes can't be that detailed or matter that quite that much.
No, but like the main like costume for the characters is definitely different enough. So if you did get the animated short costume, it would look very different. So I think it's a great introduction. I think it's also like a good, hey, One Piece is a show where it's fun and silly because once we get into the Cursed Holy Sword, it's like, oh, hey, here's a group of pirates attacking a village, cutting people down brutally in front of one another. And then, oh, hey, here's a guy finding a sword. He's going to like fight, and it's not going to, oh, fuck, he cut that guy in half. What the hell? It escalates very quickly.
Yeah. The juxtaposition was a little a little jarring. Like, not to say say it was bad or anything like that. It was just it's very funny to go from this very, silly, goofy baseball game. I love the baseball short because of just how out there and like how you're able to, all of the players, like everyone's using their like abilities, and like Luffy is like using his fist as the bat, and they're using balls that are spiked. So it's just like this very like, obviously like it's a little more dangerous than regular baseball, but also it still has the air of just being very fun. So I really did like that aspect of it. But yeah, and then once you jump into Curse Holy Sword and you immediately get that first introduction, it's like, whoa, okay, this also can happen in One Piece. That's kind of rad.
Yeah. The film was directed by Kazuhisa Takenouchi, who did a bunch of Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z episodes, as well as some of the movies. Also, he did the Interstellar 555, the story of the Secret Star System anime, some Inuyasha, some Sailor Moon, some Revolutionary Girl Utena, and other things. But he's mostly been a Dragon Ball Z director, this being a exception.
Interesting. I can kind of feel a little bit of that as well in the movie.
Yeah. So we get introduced to Saga finding this cursed holy sword, and then we immediately just cut to the Straw Hats hearing about another sword, coincidentally, the 7-star sword, which is going to get power on a red full moon. And it's like, oh, okay, well, these things are probably not going to be connected. Who knows? And I feel like the movie does kind of go too far into the serious direction with one of the characters specifically, which is Zoro. Because the movie goes on, he gets called out when a knife with his name etched into it gets thrown at him. He goes after it and ends up running into Saga. And it turns out that, oh, they were childhood friends from back in the day. They promised to help each other live out their dreams. And so Zoro agrees to help him. Meanwhile, the rest of the Straw Hats get chased by the Marines and end up ramping onto the island that they're on and landing in a lake. And that is when they end up finding Maya, who has a bunch of orbs. Maya runs off with the orbs. And while Luffy and Usopp, Luffy, who pulls along Usopp, get lost, the rest of the crew end up at her village. The villagers are afraid of them, thinking that they are the Marines. But then the actual Marines attack, including Zoro, and Zoro is going after Maya and the orbs. Sanji tries to save her. Sanji gets knocked out, and Zoro takes the balls, and everyone is warned, oh, this is going to open up the 7-star. This is going to open up the 7-star sword. Solid Act 1.
Yeah, I'll be honest. I know you said that it opens up a little more serious than, I don't know if typical or what you would have hoped, but like I kind of was digging it like right off the bat. I know you said this wasn't the best introduction to One Piece, but I really enjoyed like the first act of this. I mean, spoiler, I liked the whole thing. I really liked this movie, but I was really kind of into it like as soon as it started off. And this is as someone who knows none of the characters. The thing that like kind of struck me was I wasn't sure if Saga was a character that showed up in the show, because it seemed like with some of the flashbacks and how much Zoro knew Saga that might have been the case, but it looked like, and correct me if I'm wrong, just looking at like One Piece Wiki, it looks like he wasn't a character that shows up in the show.
Nope. Original movie character.
Wow. Okay. That's kind of wild.
Zoro's background is still pretty unknown. It's like, oh, hey, he trained at a school to learn how to use a sword, and then his best friend, who was a girl, died, and then he just became a bounty hunter because he needed to make money. And then he ran into Luffy, and that's been his life ever since.
Interesting. So like Saga, even after this movie, doesn't show up in the show thereafter either.
I don't believe he does. I know some movie characters have made cameos later on. He appeared in the mobile app game that they had, but no, he didn't appear anywhere else, which kind of makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I guess. But yeah, I thought that was wild. I also love, I mean, I do think it has a little bit of like the whimsy, right? Of like, you know, the ship jumping over the island. And I think it's because of it lands on the hippo is what happens, right? Oh, I love that. And I love that coming back full circle, not to spoil later on in the episode, but coming back full circle at the end. I assume it's not just a hippo. I can't remember what the actual creature was, but
it's like a rhino hippo thing.
Yes, yeah. So I thought that was very cute. I loved that little thing, and I also was just intrigued. I was like, why is someone throwing this knife at Zoro? Like, this guy seems cool. I don't know why someone's trying to take him out.
So last weekend, Janine and I and the Discord ended up rewatching the movie, and it's definitely something where if you don't need to like take notes and look for things and kind of like treat it more seriously, and when you're just riffing on it, it moves a lot faster. Are you a comics person?
Like here and there. I read a lot of like Turtles comics.
Okay.
But not much else.
Are you familiar with Batman Hush or Long Halloween?
Yes, I'm familiar with both, but I don't think I've ever read either one of them.
So they are kind of very good introduction comics because it has a lot of like the big scenes that you want to see in it with some really solid art. But if you kind of like read more of Batman, you kind of be like, oh, okay, so he's just taking this from this story where it's actually handled a lot better. And so like, if you aren't taking it as seriously, or if you are less familiar with it overall, I think that it's a lot more enjoyable, because when we were just riffing on it and just having a good time, I enjoyed it a lot more. I don't think it is one of my favorite One Piece movies. There's still a few that I haven't seen, but I'm not sure if I could go as harsh as the person from the One Piece podcast who, when I said I mentioned it, was like, oh, that's the worst One Piece movie. And it's like, oh, ooh, okay, that's a hot take.
Oh, interesting. Huh.
So Luffy and Usopp end up at the Marine Dojo. They find Toma, who ends up asking to test Luffy. And then when Saga shows up, he's like, hey, look at my sword, and blasts Luffy off of the base and off of a cliff where Usopp jumps after him. And back in the village, everyone gets patched up. And the elder's like, hey, you got to leave before stuff's going to get really bad. Zoro and Saga's men end up dropping the orbs into a well. And that's where Luffy and Usopp, after just wandering around trying to get out of these caves for a while and finding 3 mysterious towers, 3 also being the number of these strange orbs, eventually find those orbs. It turns out that Saga has a plan where that next night they're going to take over the island because it's going to be the red full moon. And the other Straw Hats find out that there was once 3 princesses in love with a priestess. They fought to take over the sword, which was the symbol of the royal family, and all that violence cursed the sword and destroyed the kingdom. And the sword caused more battles, so the priestess sacrificed her life, and the princes sealed the power of the sword in the orbs. And so now the orbs will be able to form a shield if they are taken to the temples to prevent the evil of the sword from rising. These Marines want that power, and Saga needed Zoro to steal the orbs because he had not been corrupted by the power of the sword so far. The flashback legend bit is very cool.
Yes, that was the part, like I said, where I was like, is this from the show? Like that was the part that I wasn't like super certain about, were some of the flashbacks, but I really did like that too. I also like the device of, because I've been cursed by this sword, I can't actually interact with these orbs. I think that's really smart. I like that a lot.
Yeah. It's a solid plot device.
Yeah, it really is. I do think the plot device of Luffy and Usopp finding the towers just because they're running around
Mhm.
is kind of a nice juxtaposition, because it's like you have this very like intentional, like, you know, it feels like it's very intentional that it's like this cursed sword means I can't interact with these orbs, but then you have these characters who are just kind of being little silly goofs running around finding the towers. Like it feels like a nice like connection, like in terms of plot devices, how they're setting things up, of like you have the serious one and then you have the silly one.
Yeah. And that's one of the things that I think I have a like kind of issue with this overall is Zoro is pretty much all serious all the time. And typically in the anime he gets cut. Like you break that up with him being lost, or his tragic character flaw is he always gets lost and flustered about that. And here we just kind of get, oh, I'm very serious. I made this pact in my past. So I need to help you even, and I'm not going to explain anything about this to the rest of these people who I've worked with and who have saved my lives and whose lives I've saved. Because if there was just a little conversation, this would be a different movie.
Yeah, I was wondering about that because I wasn't sure, again, having not watched like any of the episodes of the show, like what, you know, Zoro's characterization is in the actual episodes. I figured he was just kind of more of a serious brooding character, but it sounds like that's not always the case.
No, he's more of like a sullen teen who just wants to cut enemies and is very strong.
Okay.
And he loves to drink.
You know what? Sounds rad. Sounds like a cool dude.
Mm-hmm. Janine, you got anything to add?
Not really. Not as of yet.
All right. So we then find out that when Zoro and Saga were young, they made a promise, whereas Saga wanted to master the Sword of Justice, which is a metaphor. Like, it's never really explained what that means, dog. They raided ships together, and then during a fight, Zoro had to leave Saga behind to try and help him. Saga got caught up in an explosion, was presumed dead, and then Maya ended up finding Saga and helped him. But then when the pirates attacked, the sword took over him, and he turned evil, and they had to get rid of the orbs because of that. And now the only way to stop them is unless Maya kills herself. That's when Luffy, having found the orbs, activates a geyser that brings them back to the village. He shows that they have the orbs, so they're going to try and do the ritual because he also found the 3 temples that they need to take him to. It's all very helpful. And this will allow them to block the power of the Red Moon. And so Luffy and Usopp, and so everyone starts to break up with Sanji and the big guy, Lakos, going to one of the towers, Robin and Usopp going to a tower, Chopper and Nami going to a tower, while Luffy plans to follow Maya to go and protect her from Saga, along with Izaya, who is the old elder, who looks like she is a old hunched over lady, and then she just gets very tall all of a sudden.
Yeah. I love that moment. Yeah, I love that. I love that so much. I was not expecting that at all, which I guess I should have, because one of the characters in this does stretch and change size. So, but when that happened, I had a chuckle at that.
Solid visual gag.
Yeah, it's very good. Also, can I just say real quick? Okay, so not to nitpick, but so in the flashback, Saga is like, you know, stuck. His arm is like wrapped up in like this rope hanging in the ship. And in my mind, I was like, why doesn't he just like reach up and try and free his arm with his other arm? Or am I missing something? Like, I was very confused in that moment.
It's like metal chain, and it's just like wrapped up hard enough that he can't really like. It's the leverage that's holding him there.
Got it. Okay. For some reason, I thought it was just a rope. I don't know why. And I was like, dog, like just help yourself. Just free yourself. What are you doing?
Or like Zoro could have cut the rope.
Yeah. That was the other thing too, was I was like, why isn't Zoro just cutting this or like pulling him up? I don't know. But I guess, if it's a heavy chain, that makes sense.
And there's a specific point where Zoro gains the ability to cut through steel, and he hadn't reached that point yet.
Oh, that's fun. So had that not happened just canonically, that hasn't happened in the show yet, or is it just
in the flashback?
Oh, in the flashback. Right. Okay. So at present time in the movie, he does have that ability, but in the flashback he doesn't.
Correct.
Got it. Okay, that's fun. I like that.
Yeah, except for that filler episode where no one had written those rules down yet, and we ignore those filler episodes. So Zoro tries to pick up the sword to get rid of it, but the evil hurts him. That's when Toma shows up and reveals that Saga plans to sacrifice Zoro to activate the sword because he's a strong enough warrior. And Toma believes that he still has enough free will, but then the sword takes over him. They fight, and Saga interrupts the fight, and he wants to fight Zoro now. Zoro's upset that Toma is fully evil, and Saga attacks Zoro with his flames, and Saga ends up defeating him, saying that, oh, yeah, I guess you're not strong enough for me to sacrifice either. So, whatever. Luffy, meanwhile, knocks the Marines that were blocking the temple off, protecting Maya and the Elder, and the other Straw Hats fight their mini-bosses that allow Maya to summon the shield, except for Nami and Chopper, because the third member of the mini-bosses is Toma, who is really the only one who has characterization beyond physicality.
Yeah, I noticed that. Toma was the only one that, especially when like casting the characters, I was like, he's the only one that really has like a personality, it feels like.
Yeah. My friend Jen, who watched it, was like, yeah, but also Toma has a great fashion sense.
I love Toma's outfit. Like, super fly, dude rules. I loved it. I like that character a lot.
Yeah. I also ordered my friend Jen. I put together the Nico Robin dark butterfly shirt in Canva and ordered them a copy of it as a holiday gift.
Oh, that rocks.
So Maya is able to summon the shield, but then Saga shows up, knocks Maya off, weakening the shield. Luffy, now that he is free to fight, because earlier he was kind of just confused on what was going on, attacks, and he doesn't believe that Zoro has been killed. And in the battle, Saga transforms, getting a tattoo, sword energy all over him, and Luffy keeps fighting as Maya prays. The sword ends up dissolving, and then Saga enters his third form, where he just becomes the sword and is able to dissolve the shield. And Maya promises to keep praying. That's when Zoro shows up. He challenges Saga to sword fight him. They face off one blade to one blade as the orbs on the island break. Maya prays to the stars. Zoro attacks, cuts through Saga's blade, and cuts him, which ends the curse. Both of them collapse, and then when Saga wakes up, he's back to not being evil, and he gives up on his dream. And the Straw Hats sail off, chased by the Rhino Hippo that is in love with their ship.
such a I love that. But also, I was surprised that Saga didn't die. Like, I was really honestly expecting him to die.
One Piece doesn't like to kill off villains or heroes most of the time. There's a handful of exceptions, especially if they're named characters, but it's kind of like, if the sword is the thing that's making him evil, is it fair that he dies?
Yes. Not yes. That's not my answer to that question.
Yes, he should die.
I agree. I agree with what you're saying. Yeah, you're right. Like, it wouldn't be fair, but I also kind of expect it as like a almost like tragic moment for him of like, he's dying and the curse is broken. You know, he has his like last sentence to Maya or whatever, but knowing that One Piece doesn't really kill off characters quite often, that makes a lot of sense.
Well, and I think the other part of it is he gives up on his dream, which is a form of death. It is what the French call le petit mort, the tiny death.
It's interesting because it's like, I feel like the sword of justice, if his idea is that was the sword of justice, or that like he's gonna maybe it's his thought is that he's gonna fall into other traps trying to wield the sword of justice. I don't know, but I did think that was kind of an interesting like little twist of him giving up his dream of wielding the sword of justice. I don't know, I just thought that was kind of interesting.
It is also self-contained in a way that I think there are ways that this movie was made without any real input from Ichiro Oda, the creator of One Piece, compared to like what modern movies are, where he's like advising on stories and working on character designs and things, because the character designs of the hench people are all very different. And like some of them seem to break what I'd say are One Piece design conventions. But like there is a like Marine character who's specifically out in collecting swords and who has her own ties to Zoro. And like, I feel if this were a modern One Piece movie, like she would have been brought in and there would have been a lot more references to other things going on. It is nice how kind of self-contained it is, even though it also has weird references to other One Piece movies. Like the Marines who are chasing them specifically are led by Drake. And this apparently picks up from the prior One Piece movie that we haven't caught yet, that ends with the Straw Hats being chased by that Marine.
Oh, fascinating. Oh, okay. I just kind of assumed that was character again from the show, but knowing that that's like picking up from a previous movie, that's really interesting.
Yep, that is. Was that Drake? Maybe. I gotta double check that. But yeah, it's a fun time. I feel just like maybe don't give it your full attention. Janine, do you have comments?
It was a very fun movie for what it is, but it really, I don't know, compared to the other movie that we had seen before, and all of One Piece that we've seen before, it really didn't even feel that much to me like a One Piece movie. I mean, I don't know what anime I would paint this on. Maybe Yu Yu Hakusho. But it felt like just like the leftovers of a plot for something else. I don't know. Stuff gets reused. And it kind of feels like this was maybe reused material.
I mean, I can kind of see that with like what I had commented about, like, it feels sort of like a greatest hits. Like there's bits of it that feel like Skypia in some ways, and other stuff that had like come out before. But if you enjoyed it, Tommy, that is excellent. The writer did script 145 episodes of One Piece.
Oh, interesting. Okay, so at least there does seem to be, the writer had some knowledge of One Piece.
And 84 episodes of Hamtaro.
Oh, hell yeah.
Kush,
love that.
Yeah, I'd say this is he's a very prolific writer, but it's like, I don't know how much. He also did the screenplay for One Piece Dead End, which is another movie we'll get to at some point.
So this is just a general question. Like, are just watching the One Piece movies like an okay way to experience One Piece, or is it like not recommended to do that?
There's no wrong way to experience it. Like the live action One Piece series, which has season 2 coming out relatively soon, is solid. It changes things, but it also like streamlines things to kind of fit what a modern series is. But they've taken like a lot of care in casting and like building sets and like putting actual craft in it. I got back into the series partially because I was watching the movies. I think the biggest thing is there are a lot of movies that are non-canon, especially at the beginning, and then you get like 2 movies that are essentially recaps, and then you get into stuff that is new and semi-canonical, or at least Oda had a hand in them.
Okay. Yeah, because I mean, again, I did enjoy this. It does sound like this does have different vibes than the show, but that's not necessarily maybe a bad thing, but for me, it felt like a good introduction because it is so self-contained, it felt like, and also it was, it felt like a very solid anime movie in the sense of like, I have seen other anime movies, but I've not seen One Piece. So like, I would be interested in going on and watching some of the other One Piece movies, but I'm not certain if that's recommended. So it sounds like it's okay.
Yeah. The next one that's after this is the other normal, or the other special movie that we've done, which was Baron no Matsuri, which is very different than this. It's how familiar are you with like anime movies and stuff?
Not like super familiar, but like familiar enough, I think.
It was directed by Mamoru Hosoda, who did like The Boy and the Beast, and who did like the initial like Digimon segments that were turned into the Digimon the movie.
Oh, nice. Okay.
It goes fucking wild.
That rocks.
And then there's another movie that I haven't seen yet. And then we get into The Desert Princess, which is a recap movie of an entire arc. That's going to be the third season. That's going to be adapted as the third season of the live action. And then there is Chopper Plus, which didn't get a dub, which is really weird. And it's essentially a remake of an arc with a new character added in and kind of an updated cast list of characters who joined in later. And I actually really like it because it's like, oh, hey, what if we randomly had the equivalent of like Dick Clark voicing a character in this animated movie?
Oh, nice. I love that.
And then after that is Strong World, which is like the first big One Piece movie. It's the 10th one, and Strong World is long but pretty solid, and we did a whole special on that in the anime quote-unquote tie-in episodes where you don't actually need to see them.
Oh, cool.
And then there's the 3D long short movie, and then One Piece Z, which we're going to be covering early next year, which is the one where they got Avril Lavigne to cover a song by her then husband.
Yes. I'm okay. 100% I need to watch more of these movies, and especially One Piece Z.
Yeah, and if you are interested, there is also One Piece, which is a fan-edited version of the anime, which cuts out the filler, fixes mistakes in the series, and it's what people say is kind of like requisite once we get to a place where we're going to be in it in about 100 episodes of the normal show. Just because One Piece up until 3 weeks from now, or I guess technically 1 week from now, One Piece has been a weekly anime, which meant that there have been a few times it has gotten very close to catching up to the manga as the manga comes out. And so some of the episodes just get stretched out very long with memed levels of filler.
Filler's not always bad. Sometimes filler's really interesting, but
oh no, not like filler episodes. They specifically stopped doing that after like 5 years in. I mean, just like, oh, I guess we need to put in another flashback scene here, or just very slow. I'm thinking about why I'm doing this.
Gotcha. I see what you mean.
Angle change. Yeah.
Pace filling. Got it.
Aren't you excited for that, Janine? All right. So we have 7 characters to match, and let's get into that. How's that sound, everybody?
Sounds good to me.
All right. Up first, we have Maya. She has blue hair. Gotta have blue hair. I had 3 suggestions for her. I did do Rodrigo picks for the episodes that ran just before the movie came out in Simpsons time, as well as characters from the episodes we covered. Rodrigo is a term from the normal show for any characters and episodes of The Simpsons that we covered. that time. My Rodrigo pick for Maya was Sacagawea. My throwback was the Cockamamie's clerk, the other person who works at Cockamamie's, which is John's store, I'm assuming. And then the Housefire Woman.
Oh, sorry. I just want to jump in and just say I also had the Housefire Woman as my Rodrigo pick.
Nice. Janine, who did you have?
I had Cheery, the blonde little happy little elf, and girl with glasses.
Wom wom wom.
She's a girl with periwinkle hair and green glasses.
They finally gave another one of the Simpsons background students a backstory in the most recent episode as of when we're recording this. It was such a weird, bad episode.
Whenever they do that, it's always, it can always be a little hit or miss.
Yeah, they try to make it about Seymour trying to understand what it's like to be a parent, and it felt like they were going to do a Departed again, and no, it just swerved in a weird, slow direction. Beyond Housefire Woman, Tommy, do you have any other suggestions?
I struggled. I'll be honest. I struggle with Maya. I'm not proud of myself. I just said, I'm sure you've already used many of the young Marges, but I just said young Marge because she had, the same blue hair. But I think Housefire Woman was like the only one that I could come up with that made sense for a Rodrigo pick. And then after that, I was just like, I don't know who else works for her.
No, Housefire Woman works because she does have three things that she wants to protect: her baby, her cat, and then her player piano.
Right. Yeah. And she's asking other people for help with that. So,
Janine, are you good with Housefire Woman?
I'm good with Housefire Woman as long as I'm not the one that has to lift the dryer to put it on the right side of the washing machine.
All right. We then have Saga.
Ooh, very nice.
And we'll start off with the listener suggestions. King Atticus suggested Capital City Millhouse from the episode Millhouse Doesn't Live Here Anymore when he gets blonde frost tips. I have that on the fourth slide of this for another character. And then that one welder guy suggested Andy Hamilton, who is a character who we have both used and who came out too late to be viable for this. Janine, who did you have for Saga?
I had Boy with Shades, and I had Dolph Starbeam.
Full-ass Dolph!
Well, this was a person that was important inside of Zoro's life, and I thought that what would be a better way to pair that off with our Nelson than pairing him up with another bully. And I was like, what have we done with Dolph lately?
Tommy, who did you have for Saga?
Okay, so I have two Rodrigo picks. The first one, I don't know if this is a usable one, but I said Homer under the spell of the gun in the Cartridge Family. I don't think you can consider that its own character, so I don't think that one actually fits. But Homer is kind of like under a spell. Like he even kind of says it at the end of the episode. And I was like, I don't know. But then my other one, this one, I don't know. This is a little silly, but I said Jose Canseco because he admitted to using performance-enhancing drugs, and I think you could consider the 7-star sword a performance-enhancing object.
I think it is.
And we have only used new Jose Canseco.
Okay. So,
my Rodrigo pick was Austrian Dr. Nick. Cursed means holy. What a world! Because that's the one where he kills Bart as Mozart. My throwback was Arriaga. And then I also had the Black Knight, because I was trying to think of characters who have swords. I kind of like using Jose Canseco here, so we can have both Joses.
I'm good with that too. Like it's such a good pick. The reasoning behind it is even better. The fact that it also lands as a Rodrigo pick, it's a home run.
A home run. I love it. I'll also just say, Just be prepared for more baseball player picks.
It's perfectly fine as long as we have not used them yet, and luckily there's a lot of them in this episode. So, we then have Isaiah, the old lady who can sometimes dunk. Who do you have for Isaiah, Tommy?
Pitt the Elder?
We don't actually see Pitt the Elder.
I know. I just had that in there as a little bit of a joke.
Jokes? This is a podcast.
Yeah, how dare I? I need to be more serious. My other Rodrigo so I guess it's not technically a Rodrigo because she's only mentioned, you don't see her, but Alvarine Gurney, which is Marge's grandmother. She's mentioned in Homer's Phobia, and she is sort of a matriarchal figure, so I think that could be an option. Another option, I don't know, Methuselah, just because she's a little bit older and she carries a cane.
So, two things. We do actually see Alvarine Gurney, née Bisque. She appears in Marge's Fear of Flying.
Oh, yes. I just meant in Homer's Phobia. Mm-hmm. She's only mentioned in that episode.
Yes. Yeah. But just from a perspective of, do we actually have a depiction?
Yeah.
Because we can't necessarily have people draw a character who we have not seen. What was your third one again?
Methuselah. I don't know. That's just a throwaway one.
Awesome. Methuselah. A guy.
Yeah.
We've broken the gender barrier before.
Mm-hmm. We have also used a Methuselah, Abe Simpson Methuselah.
Oh, yes, okay.
My Rodrigo pick was the librarian from the Magical Mystery Tour, who's the one who tells them that the library is full of homeless people. My throwback for this one was Japanese robot Santa, just because I think it would be funny for this old lady. And then I had old Marguerite, who was married to Henry VIII and was the one wife who he couldn't kill and who killed him instead. Janine, who do you have?
I only have one pick, and that is Myrna Bellamy from The Frying Game. She died.
Ooh.
Marge had to try to prove that they did not do it.
Interesting. And she also, double checking, she was also the one who turned out to be Carmen Electra in disguise.
Revealing that she was actually taller.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
I like Myrna Bellamy.
Yeah, I like that too.
Hell yeah.
Janine, are you happy as
a person who's very turned on by middle-aged women?
We're a little bit past middle-aged, dog.
Wow, that is so rude to Carmen Electra. All right. We then have Toma, my friend Jin's style guide. I had Capital City Millhouse.
That's such a good one.
A Rodrigo pick. Arriaga 2, and then Franklin, who was part of the Romelwood Military Academy, who was told that with Lisa joining, he would no longer be the most feminine cadet. Look at that hair. Look at that vibe.
I love all of your picks for Toma.
Janine, who do you have?
I had Joey from And Maggie Makes Three during Homer's flashback inside of the Bowl-O-Rama. Joey was there as a shoe shine.
Yes. I had been considering Ball and Stick Kid as an alternative variant for mine. Did you have a second one?
I did not.
Tommy, who do you have for Toma?
I was still thinking about some of was where I mentioned some of the baseball players were going to come up again. I said Ken Griffey Jr. because he was like the youngest, I believe, of the baseball players in that episode that shows up. And Toma's like, I would guess he's like the youngest of the subordinates of Saga. He feels like that. Mm-hmm. And I also just his like, there's like a vibe that he has, like his like resting face like reminded me of Lester from The Day the Violence Died. Like they just had like a very similar vibe. So I also said Lester.
I really thought that we had used Lester already. We have not. Lester has just come up a few times.
But I also feel like Lester might be a character that may be more important to use later on. I don't know.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you also don't want to cast Lester without an Eliza, though we did cast Eliza without Lester, but that was because we needed a fake Nami, which was justifiable.
We may need a fake Luffy again.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Fake Luffy will continue until morale improves. All right. I want to push for Franklin just because of the vibe, and I'm not going to remember Franklin again.
Yeah, I like that one.
Janine, you good with Franklin?
Yeah, I'm good with Franklin.
All right. We then have Bismarck, who looks like he comes from Yu-Gi-Oh!
Yeah.
He looks like someone was trying to make Vash the Stampede in Skyrim. He looks like he fell in from a post-apocalyptic video game about knights, and he has the most weird energy.
He really does.
It's like you tried to like put in a bunch of different action figure parts together to make a new action figure.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Yes. 100%.
This is a character porting in their D&D character for this One Piece tabletop RPG, and the GM's just like, all right, cool, let's roll through this.
Oh, yeah, he has such a vibe.
Who do you have for Bismarck, Janine?
Okay, so my first one, I think we might have already used it, but if not, then I definitely do have to say it. Truckosaurus.
Mm-hmm.
My second pick is the next most metal thing that I could be able to find, because I chose these by how much metal that they have inside of them.
Mm-hmm.
So my next pick is Springy, the Olympics mascot.
We have not used either of those. Tommy, who are you bringing to the Bismarck party?
Oh my gosh, this one was so hard. Because like he just didn't really have much of a vibe except for how he looked, and I was like, how do I don't know. I don't know. So I was still just stuck on trying to fit in all of the baseball characters. Mm-hmm. So I said for him, not from the same episode, but Mark McGuire, because he also admitted to using PEDs. And they're, him and Bukong and Toma are under the spell. So I was like, that kind of fits too.
We have already used Mark McGuire.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he has been on since episode 5 of the show.
Wow. He was an early pick.
We did come across someone who had Popeye-like arms and was like, yeah, this is Mark McGuire.
Yeah.
And then we regretted it because we got a guy who's even more like Mark McGuire after, but we only get a recast every 50 episodes, so.
Yeah, that's totally fine. I also was thinking of the Mark McGuire has red hair, right? Or had red hair?
Yeah.
He has gray hair now. Yeah, that was another thing that I was like, maybe. But I was also just stuck on baseball players. I just gotta say.
All right. I had the robot from Lost in Space, which is not Robbie the Robot. Robbie the Robot is a different robot who recurs in a few different things. I also had Pizzoza and Scottish Rioter because red hair.
Yep, that's a good one.
Yeah, we can't burn Truckosaurus on Bismarck, Janine, and even Springy. I feel like we gotta hold on for when we're going to get weird ass. We've got weird stuff coming, Janine.
That we're going to need to make sure that we have
an animated spring. Yes.
And also a
dinosaur
made out of trucks.
Yes. Yeah. They're leaving Eggland, Janine. That's the land of the future in One Piece currently.
Sure. It does not sound like words to me.
I have to imagine there's other like possible mechanical like beasts, I assume, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I mean, one of the members of the crew that we that comes up next in the series is a actual cyborg.
Oh, nice.
Mm-hmm. Who just wears Speedos and Hawaiian shirts. He's a real party dude.
Oh, okay. I love this guy already.
Mm-hmm. He would also probably like cactus candy. Yeah, we can't use Mark McGuire.
I like Scottish Rioter. Honestly, I think that's just because I also feel like Bismarck, like I don't know much else about him. Like, I feel like that's just a good, just random character for him.
Janine, can you roll with Scottish Rioter?
Well, I could see the spirit of the riot taking over the Scotsman.
Mm-hmm.
That being the thing. Yeah. I think it translates.
Then we have Boo Kong. Tommy, who do you have for Boo Kong?
What a guy, by the way. This was another one that I was like, I mean, he's huge. I think, I can't remember if you've used this one, but I remember it came up in your episode with Derek, but Nelson as Goliath, just because he's just this massive dude. That was the first one that popped into my head, but again, I don't recall if that's one that you've used already.
We have not used Nelson Goliath at this point. And I believe Simpsons Bible stories would have been before. Yeah, because that was 1999. So we are good potentially using that.
Nice.
And then the other one, again, I was stuck on baseball players. So Mike Scioscia from the same episode, he is a catcher. And I just felt like, Boo Kong might have catcher vibes.
We have used new Mike Scioscia.
Really? Wow.
And classic Mike Scioscia is our Mr. Four, who is a baseball-themed big guy who swings a bat.
Oh, well then, there you go. Never mind.
Yeah.
So toss him out.
Yes, he has made it to a cover illustration.
The only other one, and this one's a little weird, but when Homer is in the ironic punishment division in Treehouse of Horror 4, and he's eating all the donuts, there is a part where his shape is very similar to that of Boo Kong's, where he's like much bigger on top, and then he has like his little tiny legs on the bottom. Just another one to think about.
Donut Torture Homer?
Yes, Donut Torture Homer.
Okay, I'll keep that one in mind. My Rodrigo was Beethoven Nelson. Ha 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 ha. And then Aruglia and Arugila, and then Soccer Nights singer. Are y'all ready for some soccer? Which is great bit. Janine, who do you have for Boo Kong?
Guys, they're gonna cancel me. They're gonna cancel me because my picks were so mean. Actually, I have Springfield's Fattest Man and Ernest Borgnine.
I mean, I'm not going to cancel you. I don't know if I have that power, but I think those are good picks.
I am double checking. We have not used Ernest Borgnine. I feel like he's come up a few times.
Just can't get rid of him. He's in the vents.
I know. And I'm pulling up Springfield's Fattest Man. He's not that fat. Homer's right. I'd be good to use Springfield's Fattest Man if we want to do that.
Sounds like a good one to me.
All right.
Nice. Then I can't get canceled if we're all doing it.
We'll just all get canceled.
Because I knew a lot more about hockey.
That's not relevant. Hockey isn't a thing here yet. But I hadn't hit that one, and I didn't have a good other soundboard button. All right. And then last we have Lacos, who looks like off-brand Andre the Giant.
Yes. Oh my gosh, he does. He also looks exactly like the character I made in Dragon's Dogma, who is trying to be like Andre the Giant, which that's just a me thing. But I love him. He just looks so awesome.
My Rodrigo pick is Tweedleburger, the third member of the Lewis and Clark and Tweedleburger expedition, who dies eating poisoned berries. Barriagua is my other pick because very similar face shapes. And then I had Mystery Spot Operator. Janine, who do you have?
I put down Ozzie Smith.
I dig it.
Mm-hmm.
After this, he just disappears.
He does. Into the void. And anyone else?
Nope.
Or just cool. Tommy, who do you have for Lacos?
I picked Charlie. I assume he has to have been used already.
No.
No, okay. So I picked Charlie just because I felt like my theme was like kind of like the evil baseball players, and then I was like, well, Lacos is kind of a good guy, so maybe he can be, on the good side of things. And so Charlie was, on the team before the players, the professional players show up.
Mhm.
I also thought about you had him for Saga, but the Black Knight for him as well, because it's weird how few characters with like a sword and shield show up in The Simpsons. I feel like I was like struggling to think of other ones, but those were that was like one of the only ones I could think of.
They're more likely to fight with motorcycles.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
All right. I'd be good to use Ozzie Smith here just to get another baseball player on if we want to roll with that.
I dig it.
Awesome. Hell yeah.
All right. So our Maya is Housefire Woman. Our Saga is Jose Canseco. Our Zaya is Myrna Bellamy. Our Toma is Franklin. Our Bismarck is Scottish Rider. Our Bukong is Springfield's fattest man. And our Lacos is Ozzie Smith. Well, DohMance Dawn had done it. The casting all was running, and Luke is kind of slowly losing steam. Tommy, can you tell us where you've been? Can you give us the websites where you want to be seen?
I can't sing it. I can't. You can find me online, mostly on Bluesky, but also on Instagram. I'm at Awkward Comma. I also co-host 2 other podcasts. The first is Distant Echoes, a Star Wars podcast that I host with my partner, and we go through every single Star Wars television episode in whatever order we please. And then the other one, we mentioned it a couple of times, is Lee Carvalho's Potting Challenge, which I host with my pal Derek, and we're playing through every single Simpsons video game ever made and talking about pop culture, Simpsons, and just video game history along the way. And this was so much fun. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, no, this was a blast having you on, also having Derek on in a previous normal episode of the show. I was glad that I was able to get you all on as folks who know The Simpsons and know nothing about One Piece.
I am going to watch more One Piece after this. I can promise you that.
Hell yeah. If I have written recommendation guides before, the last person I know who seriously got into it ended up cosplaying as Nico Robin a few months later. So,
oh, nice. Okay, cool.
Yes. So, welcome aboard. Janine, where can you be found online?
You could find me on Bluesky. It's JanineJuliet.Bisky.social. I'm also on Instagram. Janine is dope. And Wrestle Girlies, the podcast that I do with my friend Flighty Buttlass, updates whenever the hell I feel like it. Luke, where can the people find you?
You can find me online most places as at Coltreg, KOLTREG, including Bluesky, itch.io, and other sites, including Discord. Like, if you want to join the DohMance Dawn Discord and you haven't found the links elsewhere, you could probably just blind message me or add me, and as long as you're chill, I'm cool with that. Along with that, the Exiled Annual went up like 2 days ago from when we were recording this. Exiled is going to be coming back for 10 final episodes in 2026 to celebrate the 10th anniversary of the show, which is frankly wild. And yeah, what else? Our cover art is by Mike Patton. You can find many places as Patent Pending, Pattenpending. Sometimes there's an underscore between those. He is on Bluesky. He is on other websites. He is a great talent. I'm excited to see what he does for this episode. And our episode this week was edited by Andy, who you can find on Bluesky at winf.co.uk. That's WYNF. Also, you may have heard promotions for this podcast on Play Comics, and also has to do with Spider-Man, I think, the podcast. If you want to put an ad of Janine and I promoting the show, feel free to reach out. DohMance Dawn updates bi-weekly or semi-weekly. That means every other week. I don't think we're going to be missing an episode because of Christmas or whatever. We're going to be getting back to the history of Fishman Island when we return. Get excited for more complicated political dialogue regarding racial restrictions, multi-generational hate, and fishmen and mermaids.
This has literally been my favorite thing so far in One Piece ever.
It is a very big arc, and Janine, you know who shows up next time?
Who shows up next time?
The Celestial Dragons.
Oh, god damn it.
So, we hope that y'all had fun here. We hope that maybe if this was your first episode, you, like Tommy, want to check out more. And yeah, if you can leave us a review, if you can tell a friend, if you are getting excited, our next episode is going to be our 90th numbered episode of the show, which means we're going to be promoting the cover art and all that stuff again. Please do tell your friends, join the Discord if you haven't, and if you got a buck or two, there's a Patreon under my name, Lukeher, Lukeherr, where you can help and support the show. Thank you all for listening. Have a wonderful night and smooth sailing. Peace.